Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. I bring you tips, advice, and guest stories about creating work you love. Whatever type of career or business you have or want, I want to help you find more meaning, money, and happiness. Now we are live from Hollywood. Hello, hello. I'm Michelle Perkins. I'm your host. Today is the Limit Free Life Show, Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, and so glad you're here. I have a fantastic guest with me today, and I'm so excited that I am going to jump right in. So just very quickly, here at the Limit Free Life Show, we like to talk about how to create work you love. So that is work that is fulfilling, fun, and financially prosperous. So we talk about money mindset, we talk about how to find a new career, and also how to build a business if that's more of your interest. So I have a great guest with me today who has some wonderful insights on all kinds of career and money related topics. So I'm just going to jump right in and introduce today's guest, Naomi Lee or Leah? Leah Klein.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let me just read your bio because it's really impressive. And so I want everybody to hear a little about you. So Naomi has closed approximately $350 million worth of residential, multi-unit, and investment properties with an impressive real estate portfolio representing a sophisticated and diverse national and international clientele in both Los Angeles and New York City. With a very heavy focus on professional athletes and entertainers, there isn't a professional sports team or entertainment division Naomi hasn't worked with. As a former collegiate athlete herself, Naomi understands and thrives on the ability to work in a team environment and being a skilled decision maker. Her continued strong brand awareness and a constant pulse on the real estate market and market trends has helped create a loyal brand of clients, with the majority of her business done by referrals. From Malibu to Hollywood, a first-time homebuyer or an experienced investor, Naomi has you covered. Naomi's personal experiences, unparalleled negotiating skills, and extensive knowledge for every project play an integral role in her transactions, incorporating strategic and out-of-the-box thinking for short-term and long-term investments. With a track record to prove it, Naomi credits her success to listening to her clients and being an advocate for her clients. For Naomi, success comes naturally by focusing on 5 key elements: instinct, transparency, exclusivity, discretion, and values. And we're going to get into her thoughts on all of those and how those particular elements can bring more success to anybody. So, Naomi, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Such a long bio to just say I sell real estate and I enjoy helping realtors and entrepreneurs.
Oh, it wasn't that long. There's so much to talk about and so much that you've done. You're quite the success story, and I actually can't wait to hear more about your journey, how you got to this place, and your interest, and then of course the 5 key elements of success. So do you want to just let us in on what brought you to this career?
Sure. So I got involved with real estate because my family had always been involved with real estate. So they were on the principal side, which meant they bought and sold properties. Okay. And my grandparents came from Europe. They came with nothing. They came with no language, no family, no money, minus nothing. Yeah. And because my grandfather at a very young age understood real estate from Europe, he applied the same philosophies when he came here to the States. So it was first of all, it was work very, very hard. It was save, and then it was purchase a home and pay it off as soon as possible, and then continue doing that, and then get investment properties where you have, rentals, so the tenants are helping pay your mortgage.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm the only one in the family that sells real estate and represents clients. So it's in me. I have a high risk tolerance when it comes to it. I believe in real estate wholeheartedly. And so here I am.
Wow, I love that. So, so obviously it piqued your interest early on, because were you any interest in other things as you were going along, or did you?
Sure. I loved sports. I love sports. Being a professional athlete was never a desire of mine. Doing something with entrepreneurs, business. I mean, that was that I loved. I've always loved that, still love that. Real estate was always in the foreground because I would go with my parents or my grandparents to their apartment buildings and help them check on everything. I would answer the phone when I was 5 years old. Hello, Klein residence. How may I help you? Yes, I'm calling about the 1-bedroom located. So, I was trained very early.
Yeah.
So it was just second nature.
That's very cool. Yeah, actually, my grandparents have similar experience where they came from Eastern Europe, and my grandfather came here and was a carpenter and ended up building apartment buildings and things like that. And I remember after he was gone, my grandmother had probably 30 years still in this apartment. So I remember going to upstate New York and being in that apartment, and it was kind of cool.
And the work ethic is unbelievable. It's incredible.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So real estate to me, I was really excited to have you on because it is a really interesting business. I mean, there are a lot of people who think they can. There's so many beliefs around real estate. I can do it part-time. I can, I can make zillions of dollars really easily. I mean, there's a lot that people think, and I know that's not the reality. So
there's a lot that people think, and there's a lot that $1 Million Listing helps people think, and there's a lot that Google helps people think. And the truth is, all of it can play into the knowledge of somebody, becoming more informed with real estate. So that's great.
Right.
Where it kind of pauses is when a seller wants to sell their property and they have a price point in mind and I have a price point in mind. So how do you settle that and list the property? Because at the end of the day, you want to sell the property, right? And then for buyers, it's a matter of lining them up so well so that if there are multiple offers on a property, number one, they win. Number two, it's so much more than just price with both the buyer and seller. So it's the terms of the contract. I wanted to be a lawyer, actually, growing up. So I get to do my contracts. And I wanted to be a therapist. Cool. So I get to hold people's hands walking through the process.
There's a lot of therapy in real estate.
There's a lot of therapy, and unbilled hours with that. But so just helping them through the process and knowing that I am 100% their advocate. And they can have me as a sounding board. We can go over strategies, both as a buyer or seller. And, it's great. And now I'm with Compass, the brokerage Compass. Okay. And so we have a lot of coming soon properties. So I can let them know of properties that are on the market before it hits, or I can let sellers know how their property would do based on X price before it hits the market.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
Okay.
So I love data. I love analytics.
Yeah.
That's my thing too.
Yeah, I know. And just hearing you talk about it, there's so much that goes into being successful in that profession because there is all the negotiation and the great communications and there are a lot of different communication styles out there with realtors. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Some involve throwing phones, getting upset and throwing phones, but I'll just say that's on the shows. Wink.
Yeah. It's interesting. And what do you think it is interesting because there are a lot of realtors, but there are sort of a low percentage of really successful realtors. Is that correct?
Sure, yes. And then if you're in a big city, then the numbers are a little inflated, right? If you were in middle America, you're dealing with lesser numbers, perhaps as far as sales, but you'd be doing more selling of the homes. So it just depends.
Okay. Okay. So what do you find to be the most, because I know although there's big money in there, you're doing this for many reasons. So what are some of the things that you just, what's your why? What is going on for you when you do this?
I always knew that I wanted to be in real estate because of the schedule. So a lot of people say, but you have to give up your weekends, and you really don't. It's just like anything else. You just plan and you make it fit into a schedule that works for everybody. And I'm a mom, so I can, if my little one needs to go to the pediatrician because something happened, I can take him. Or if I, need to do something and it's flexible. So it's really flexible. It's a lot of work. I think that's the biggest misconception is that you think you can just put a price on it, list it on the MLS and sell it. And you're dealing with different personalities. You're dealing with a contract. You're dealing with hundreds of pages that you need to know inside and out so that you're really protecting your client. And you need to know what the market is bearing at that time.
Yeah, there is a lot to it.
And I believe in it. Real estate is the number one wealth builder statistically over any other business. And even, the big CEOs and, they've got a real estate portfolio. Right. So I think everyone should have a CEO for their household, a CFO for the household, a chief real estate officer for their household to really maintain that real estate portfolio and to be loyal to that chief of real estate because they're really looking out for your best interest.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you're talking about it because I in the coaching world and I follow a lot of coaches and I haven't really thought about this that much until now, but I've seen this trend where as they get more and more successful, all of a sudden they're talking about real estate. And so they've made money and now they're making obviously some additional revenue through real estate, but they all seem to go there. So very interesting. Well,
and that's actually what sought my grandparents through a lot. And the same with my parents is that passive income. So if you have different verticals of income that are happening, what you're doing for your day job, if that doesn't work out, at least you have a little bit of a safety net to fall back on.
Right. And so what would you say about rental real estate? Because I think that's something that a lot of people aspire to have.
Yes.
I had one condo that I bought for rental in Redlands. I bought it in 2006.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful story. You can imagine. It took me many, many years just to get it back to the point where I could possibly sell it. Yeah. But I did rent it. And there were some benefits to that, even with as poor an investment as it was. But what advice would you give to people who do want that extra income?
So I would say, number one, anticipate the cost of what you think it's going to be. Anticipate another 4 times that amount. So
I wish I'd known that.
Right. That's first and foremost, because what happens if the tenant isn't in there for 3 months? What happens if they complain and the latest is everyone's taking everyone to court and there's another 3 or 4 months plus legal fees. So have at least 4 times the amount of what you think it's going to cost, just in case it's vacant. Number 2, what happens if there's a leak in the bathroom and you have to relocate the tenant? So again, that's where that 4 months of safety net or 4 times comes in handy. And I also say you don't have to own to be a landlord. So you might have a 2-bedroom house, 3-bedroom house, 2-bedroom condo, and you're a single person and you want to rent out the second space. Do that, save your money, and then invest it in a real property that you own when you're able to do so.
Interesting. Yeah. This isn't something I was going to ask, but you've got me curious. Do you have an opinion on flipping?
So flipping is great as long as you are. I'm a big one for numbers. I say freedom is in the financials. If you know your numbers, you're good to go. And then again, for flipping, I would anticipate about 5 times the amount of what you're expecting to have just in case. Because what happens if you knock down a wall and that beam does need to stay? So then you need to pay extra to reinforce it. What if the house starts sinking because the contractor, hit a ditch? So I would do that. And then understand your carrying costs. So if you're not paying cash, what's the mortgage that you're paying per month? The insurance, the property tax, that's usually a zinger for people.
Okay, very interesting.
I could talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah, it is really fun. I mean, it no question about that. What are some of the things that you see out there that do make real estate professionals like yourself successful?
You have to stay current. You have to listen to your clients. You have to know what the market is bearing. And you need to know how to communicate with a client about price, because that's always a conflict. And it doesn't have to be, right? So if you come prepared and I come prepared with market stats and I listen to the client and they still might have a very different idea to list or to purchase at what really is. And so I say, okay, we're going to do it your way. After X amount of days, then let's maybe try the strategy that I'd like to have.
Right.
And usually they're more willing to do that.
Are they usually thinking the value should be higher?
The sellers, yes.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Very interesting. So all that negotiation with the seller, mostly? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
With the seller mostly.
Okay.
Yes.
How did you? I'm curious about the focus on athletes and entertainment folks. So how does? Is that just because of the referrals, or?
You know, I get this question all the time. How did you get involved with athletes and representing athletes? I'm originally from Bakersfield, California, which is like the Texas of California. So it's about meat, potatoes, and football.
Right.
And, Friday Night Lights, the show, that's very much Bakersfield. So all my friends, played football. And then I dated someone for a very long time that also played football in college, and a lot of his teammates went into the league. So it was I just grew up with them.
Okay.
So they're friends, and I really want to protect them. And then I met their teammates, and I enjoy being advocates for people.
Right. Oh, I love that. That's very cool. So you've gained the trust of a lot of people in that area.
Yes.
So.
And you deal with a lot of their business managers and financial advisors. So I always welcome that. It could be a little contentious there sometimes because a financial advisor may want another type of investment, but housing, just historically, you can't beat it.
Yeah, yeah. So the communication skills that are serving you so well, is that natural for you, or did you pick up some things along the way, or?
Sure, I definitely picked some things up along the way. But most of it, I would say it's just a natural affinity that I had. And I feel we always tend to go wherever we're most comfortable, and we usually are able to communicate with like-minded people.
Right.
And I really enjoy the athletic perspective, playing sports my whole life. You understand a team environment. You understand what it's like to work within a team. You don't take things as personally. I'm going to still take things personally. But not as personally. And you always strive to do better. And it's a very inclusive environment. So you want people to succeed all around you because it just builds everybody up.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of caring and integrity and things like that, but there's probably also part of you that's competitive. I don't know. I mean,
don't ask my mom, but maybe a little bit.
Yeah. No, I see that as a big asset.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
in almost 16 years of real estate, representing buyers, out of all the multiple offers, I think I've lost one. So that's a really, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
And it's just knowing strategy. It's knowing how to position yourself. It's like being on a soccer field or being on a football field, and you need to know what your competition is doing. You need to kind of gauge where their steps are going to be, and then you need to perform at a higher level. So
yeah, it's strategy. It's not to me, I mean,
strategy.
I understand there has sometimes a negative connotation, but when I'm
I
out
love
there,
it.
I think it's really, it's such an important motivator, such an important, just to drive you into figuring out the best strategy or whatever. I think you need a little of that. And
100%. And this is your business. As a real estate agent, you're working for a brokerage, but it's your business. So you need to be a self-starter. You need to be able to handle everything from being the CEO of your company again to the CFO to marketing, which I love, and then being able to communicate with the client face to face.
Yeah, I want to come back to marketing because that's really interesting, and I just know that you have a great Instagram. So I don't know what else you do for marketing, but you have one of the more fun Instagrams out there that
Thank you.
I'm trying to actually spend less time on Instagram, but it's a little addictive. But yours is a really fun one. So I want to I want to talk to you about the 5 key elements of success and just make sure that we talk about each of them.
Sure.
And then we'll get back to marketing.
Okay.
And we mentioned 5 elements. The first one being instinct. So maybe you can just give us some tips on each of these and just elaborate on it a little bit.
Sure. So with all of these 5 key elements, they really do go back to playing sports and being athletic. So with instinct, you need to know which direction, playing soccer, you need to know which direction that other player is going to go. You need to be able to look peripherally at the field to know which direction is the best strategy for you. And you need to know where your teammates are so that you can pass, and score the goal.
I love that. Okay.
So the same applies really in anything we do. In answer, your career of choice. So my career of choice is real estate, and I need to know how the market is doing. I can look at comps, but there's also an instinctive piece. When you walk into a property, you see what the positives are, you see maybe a few setbacks to the property, and you need to know what your competition is out there, and instinctively list it so that you can sell it quickly and for top dollar.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay. And I do think it would be necessary, because I know just around me, homes sell for weird prices sometimes. So the comps get kind of, you can't just go by that.
Right. And in Los Angeles, you can't, because we don't all live in planned unit developments, right? So if you're in a condo, it's a little easier. If you're in a custom home, it's very different, but there's still a range. And then in New York, there might be properties that look fantastic, but there's a co-op board and you need to put down at least 50%, whereas in Los Angeles, sometimes you can put down 5, 10, 15%. So all of these pieces, and with instinct, it's a blend of knowledge and intuition. So and acting on it.
Right. And those 2 cities are so different. So you have to have a whole different base of knowledge for each one, which probably keeps it really interesting. But yeah. Okay. How about transparency?
Transparency, listen, you're going to be able to share and communicate. If people feel that you're holding something back, they're going to feel it. They're not going to go with you. They're not going to trust it. So I actually started a program called Activate. And one of the things that we talk about with transparency is understand yourself and where you come from so that you understand the value you offer others, right? It's not about so much as to who you are. It's more as what you've learned, how long you've done it, what value you're going to bring to the other person so that they can succeed working with you. Right. So I think transparency, that type of connection is so important. And when you know all the years and experience that you've had, all the sales that you've done, all the passion that you have for something, I think the person on the other side of any business will see that.
And so Activate is for who? Who is that directed toward? That sounds really interesting.
It's basically activate, shoot the ball. It's time to shoot the ball, close those deals, feel value in the packages that you're selling or the career choice you have. It's for real estate agents and for entrepreneurs. Yeah,
I was going to say, it sounds like a entrepreneurial coaching, kind of program.
And it's 6 weeks. It's a boot camp. So it's, it's a business boot camp. It's a little bit of a business makeover. We really focus on branding. We really focus on the value of what your offer is for somebody else, what their return on that investment is in you. And I always say, if someone invests in you, they should be able to make a minimum of 3 times the amount of what they spent.
Nice. I like that.
So it's a good gauge. Again, I'm a numbers girl, so
I love that. Numbers are important.
Yes, it's where the freedom is. For sure.
It is where the freedom is. Okay, so we'll get back to how people can learn about Activate more. How about exclusivity?
Exclusivity is important because you don't want to just accept everybody. And I'm open to everybody. But when I say you can't accept everybody, I mean, if they're not ready to move forward, it's not the time for them. Right. So there needs to be a way to communicate and say, come back to me when XYZ has been looked at, and then we can move forward on it. Also, if they're already excelling in their business, or, they might just need a little bit of a tweak. And so being exclusive really just means focusing on your client and tailor making it to what they need.
Right. Okay.
So it's an exclusive X for you.
Right. Okay. And that takes a lot of communication skill too, to be able to, very kindly and nicely, but effectively kind of move people aside.
Sure, yeah. And that communication comes from knowing the numbers, researching. I love researching. I always have. Because when you research and you go over scenarios on your own, when someone gives you that setup, you know how to communicate and answer so that they feel heard.
Right.
So you're just not sharing your information, you're relating it to how it affects them.
Right. And I love it's another really good use of numbers, because that is a way to depersonalize it, but give kind of a reason why they need to wait or whatever it is. So
completely hit it head on. The more research I do, I find the more detached to the outcome I am, because I've done the research. It's my job to communicate that in a way that they understand and feel secure that it works for them.
Yeah.
And then if they choose to do it, fantastic. We just excel and accelerate. And if not, it's not the timing.
Yeah, very interesting. I like that a lot. How about discretion?
Discretion. So that's another piece it goes along a little bit with exclusivity. And, you want to include people that are ready and willing to buy, sell, lease, whatever the case may be. And then discretion, representing a lot of athletes and entertainers, it's not something where I'm promoting them really ever. So, and, being in Los Angeles or New York, it's just like a normal person, because there are so many, and you really want to advocate for them. You want to help, protect their privacy and really help build their real estate portfolio in my case.
Oh, that's great. So
under the radar.
You're one of their wealth consultants almost, because on the real estate end.
With the real estate assets.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And values. Values, I love focusing on values.
Yes, I mean, I'm sure you can help with this piece as well, but values are just things that we've learned instinctively. And what I'm finding is a lot of people are trying to find themselves right now, which is fantastic. That is wonderful. And what I'm finding is that their old values kind of pop up sometimes, so that's why there might be a conflict.
Right.
So what your inherent values are and really knowing what those are means you hit it off with the other person or not, and it creates such a good relationship when you connect at that level. And if you don't, that's okay. Don't force it. Something else will come along.
Right. And don't you find that values are showing up in, if a seller has to make a decision about a variety of, there are multiple offers and they have to decide, values really come into play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And ethics are a big deal when it comes to me and real estate and my clients. Really, they're awesome. Most of my clients are fantastic. I always say you can tell a lot about people with two things: with the way they are with money and the way they share their food. Or if they don't share their food. So the way they are with money and food, pay attention. I'm very family style. Eat. If you eat, then there's more. We'll get more. And the same thing with money. You give it when you have it, and you, even if you don't, you still give it. And I feel you have money so that you don't have to worry about money.
Right.
So the value piece is very important, because it's a very transactional experience. So you can have a transactional client, or it could be one where you're connecting from a value perspective. So it just depends.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I was listening to, I think it was an NPR story on the way in, and they were talking about people's, sort of satisfaction with their quality of life, and how actually Los Angeles is a little low, and a lot of it was attributable to the cost of living and primarily housing.
Yes.
So, there were other factors too. It was housing and other things, but and that their perception of how much rent or monthly house payment should be is actually much higher than the norm. You know, it's just become like a given and everybody accepts it. And so.
Yes, I forgot what stat I was reading, but it said for New York City, the average cost of living takes 11 years salary for 1 year of living. So that's a little, disconnected.
Yeah.
And for Los Angeles, it was lower, not by much, but I don't remember what it was. And that's what I'm saying. When you anticipate the cost of something, anticipate it being 4 times that amount. So
that's a great rule.
Right? If you're renting, if you're owning, and then you want to travel, and then you have gas and insurance and taxes, it just adds up so quickly.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I'm paying not only for my home here, but for a very teeny tiny apartment in New York for my son. It's quite an eye opener. Just finding the apartment.
I know.
That was tough.
Different world.
Yeah. So I love that you love numbers and that you
Yes.
think money creates freedom. And
Yes.
I usually ask guests about their money mindset and any way. I mean, you've talked a lot actually about ways that your comfort level with money, your sort of, caring about knowing those numbers, things like that, how that has given you freedom and helped you feel, better and more empowered. But any challenges along the way that either you've had
Yes,
or you
Michelle.
see with your clients?
Yes. I have had challenges. Clients have had challenges. And all I can say to that is it really doesn't matter. And again, it goes back to my grandparents coming here with no money, no language, no family, nothing. There's really no excuse for me, right, to not be successful at some level, whatever that might be. And the trick is to be resilient. So you're going to have a lot of people that are coming at you in many different directions that are distractions, social media, huge distraction. Other marketing pieces that people are doing, it's great. But then you need to stop and say, okay, what is bringing in income? That's what I need to focus on. So these 2 pieces are bringing in income. This is what I need to focus on. Everything else gets to be on hold for a minute. Or these 2 pieces used to bring in income and they're not any longer. So how can I get up to date so that they are starting to bring in income again? Because you've got it. You did it once. So now you just need to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
To do it again.
Yeah,
so resilience is
it's huge. And adapting to whatever new things come along. I was talking to a woman this morning who has a very successful business. She's had it for a very long time. But they're changing the 1099 rules coming up in January, apparently.
I did not know this.
Well, I wasn't very aware either.
What?
I'm calling my accountant actually today to get some more info because she asked me some questions I couldn't answer. But so anyway, that's going to completely change, some aspects of her business. And so it is interesting how, so we were talking about, okay, well, maybe it's time to look at the pieces of your business that really are most profitable or, are bringing the most revenue, because some parts aren't. And if it's going to, if this is going to change the game in some areas and you have to rethink and rework those numbers. So the resiliency, I mean, definitely she would have to adapt to some new things, but she's been around a long time, so she's obviously had some of these things happen
has the
before.
formula.
But, well, she was thrown by this one. But it is, being resilient and just coming up with whatever new plans you need to come up with.
Yeah, and know who your investors are, whether silent or not silent. So again, going to real estate, maybe the passive income and renting out a room becomes, alleviates some of that.
Right.
Maybe, wanting to do that side hustle all in, maybe that can still be all in, but you keep your day job where you get a salary and that boss becomes your investor and he or she doesn't know that. So I think it's fantastic, this explosion of entrepreneurs and side hustles and full-on hustles that are out there. But it's very time consuming, it's very expensive, and it doesn't happen overnight. So keep that investor with that boss that's paying you a salary.
Right. What would you say to people who want to get into real estate, but on a more
Don't do it. Don't do it. If you're going to be an agent, just don't. No.
But the ones who maybe are thinking, hey, I could do this part-time and maybe later after I, No? Okay.
No, listen, it's a game changer. I mean, there are so many memes out there of your first day in real estate, and then a year later, it's comparable to what it's like being first day as president and last day as president.
With the gray hair.
Yes, and you're just kind of rattled. Or first day of drop off of the kids and, last day. So I say do it. If you have a drive to do something, whatever it is, do it. Have a mentor. If you're getting involved with real estate now, I would say join a successful team. Number one, or number two, do new development. There's not a lot of new development in Los Angeles, but Miami, New York, do the new development pieces because you're meeting clients, and that's what this business is. It's relationships, 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 and meeting those people.
Right. Yeah. But that goes for anything, I think. Everything. The more I move along in life, the more I realize that connection and relationships is pretty much everything.
It's everything, yes.
So when you say new development, those are new planned communities or?
New planned communities or new buildings.
Okay.
So
anything new.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what about commercial real estate? Do you do anything with that? Is that
I
a whole
don't.
different animal?
It's a whole different animal.
Okay.
It's a whole different animal.
Okay. So you choose one or the other.
Yes.
If you're
I do multifamilies where I represent entire buildings for rentals.
Oh.
So if someone is buying or selling a rental property. But for commercial property, it's very different. I love the multifamily because it's much more numbers oriented.
Right.
It's what your cash on cash is, your return on investment. It's less about what do the shrubs look like or, yeah.
So if somebody wants to go into this, and it's an unusual, it's one of those jobs where the money comes in big spurts, and then there's a period where there's potentially no money for a little while. So what are some of the keys to kind of managing that?
Praying a lot. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of.
No, that's probably a good idea.
It's like entertainment. So
Exactly.
you have your gigs and then you don't have your gigs. So you really need to save. You really need to prospect. So have those email campaigns going. Go to events, network. And whether, this is the biggest piece of advice I wish I had when I started. And that was, even if someone doesn't go with you the first go round with real estate, stay in touch with them.
Yeah.
Keep them on your email list so that in a few years your database is so big, and that's where your money is. It's in your database.
Right.
And unless someone unsubscribes or says, please unsubscribe me, they're either not looking at your emails or they're reading it, enjoying it, and you're staying front of mind. So you never know. Don't negotiate against yourself with, pushing someone to the side because they didn't go with you the first time around in any business.
I was going to say that definitely, things like coaching, it takes sometimes people a while to get to know you or to get to know themselves enough to think that this is really what they need. And so it's the not now. No is not now or not this, but not really no sometimes.
Yes.
So I agree with you on that. And it can be kind of a tough one to stay in touch with, especially, how do you manage that? Because after a while, you have a pretty big database of people, and that idea of staying in touch, it sounds great, but to actually, how do you do it?
It's a lot. That's a very good question. Time blocking. So, and I also have an assistant. So if I highly encourage an assistant, even if, you feel you can't afford one per se, have your child do it. I mean, mine's 2,
Seriously.
so he can't do a computer yet. He's getting there, but not yet.
He will be by 3 these days.
Seriously, in this day and age. But I always say have an assistant who just keeps you on track, and then you look at your database every week, and it's just mining that database. And so you see who's reaching out, and it does get to be a lot, and it's your job to communicate. And you don't have to be immediate response, right? So just as long as you're responding, I would say within X amount of days, it's fine. Everybody's busy.
Right.
And they're probably responding to you in the middle of a doctor's appointment so that they know they sent it and now it's back on you. So it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, I love that.
That
So
ping pong of time. Email time.
yeah, and
Email ping pong.
what else do you do to balance your time and manage your time?
So I've actually just started to exercise again.
Oh, me too. This was yeah.
Exercise and take vitamins and acupuncture. That's
cool.
I love. And really just prioritizing what's important, what's noise, what's a distraction, and what's important to me.
Yeah, very good. I'm really trying to focus myself too on the whole 80-20 rule thing, and just really trying to hone in on what that 20% that gives me the 80% of the results needs to be. It's kind of hard to figure out sometimes, but it's important.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's what is bringing in an income.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two is having peace and quiet for myself so that I stay centered.
Yeah.
And playing with my little one. Those are the three pieces. Everything else is so secondary, and it's just the time I choose to spend on it.
Oh, I love that. So tell us more about, how people can learn more from you. I mean,
sure. You can always check me out on Instagram at Sundays
and
in
you
the
should.
City.
It's a really good Instagram.
Thank you. Sundays in the City _ which was a play off both Sex in the City and, of course, real estate being on Sundays. Yeah. So that's a great place to get some real estate advice. And then through my bio, you can sign up for a discovery call for the Activate program. And it's one-on-one coaching, which is... It's so important, I think, because people get lost sometimes with group coaching.
Or the courses. It's hard to keep up with those things. So.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of understand what is trying to be emulated, right?
There's always wonderful information, but what I've found is that over time, integrating that into your life is something where you need to be led by the hand and have somebody on your side helping you do that.
Yeah, and that's, you nailed it. That's exactly what I want, because coming from sports, it's 6 weeks, we're going to get it done, because after 6 weeks, you're over it anyway, right? You were so excited for the first 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then it's like, fly. Yeah. And usually, the ladies have been flying starting week 3, week 4. So.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it all women?
It's all women.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's really for women
women real estate agents, women entrepreneurs, moms that are looking to find their place in the household. So maybe they're the CEO of their household and they need to define that role a lot more so that they understand the value that they're bringing and their significant other understands the value that they're bringing in a very low-key kind of ninja style way.
Very important.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a tough one for people, and that's a great thing to teach them.
Yeah, and no mommy guilt. There's a little that will be natural, right? But no mommy guilt, because your babies are watching you and they're learning from you, and if you're happy and settled, that's all they need. That is, and a roof over their head, that is all they need.
Yeah, and it's kind of an art form in it, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a successful real estate professional, whatever you're doing, you can be happy in any of those, and it just takes on different forms. So I love that you're showing that to all these different people. That's really great. So how do they find you for that?
So on Instagram, my link tree is up. So I need to check, but I believe there's a discovery call that they can set up on Calendly through my link in bio, and then we just kind of evaluate where they're at. I custom tailor make a program for them, and that's where they're at.
Okay. And what if somebody wants to contact you about real estate?
If they want to contact me about real estate, you can reach me at naomi@compass.com.
Great.
I was number 22 with Compass in Los Angeles. There were 100 real estate agents, LA and New York, and now there are 15,000. So I got the Naomi. I am the one and only Naomi@compass.com.
That's
so
great.
easy to remember.
And how do you go back and forth to New York?
I do, not so much anymore with the little one. He's a lot to travel with. But yes, I do go back and forth every so often.
All right. So you love your career?
I do. It's exhausting, but that could be the 2-year-old. But yes, I do love it.
Okay. All right. Well, I love that you came on the show and told us how, I mean, it is fantastic to have you and just to hear about what's behind the success, the mindset and the beliefs and the habits and the things that, you need to know. I think that's so important for people to realize there's all this underpinning that goes behind the success, and it's just not luck, and it's, it's not the marketplace. It's really all of this other understanding yourself and using your skills and your strengths and
creating your own environment and really being selective with who you let in. I'm still learning to be, very discerning of who I let in and they get me. But, c'est la vie. And it's hard work. I want people to know that it's very, very hard work in whatever career you choose to do. It's hard work, it's dedication, it's a lot of time. And think of yourself as an athlete when you choose to do something. And you fall down, you get up, you're consistent, you continue to shoot the ball. You're going to lose sometimes, you're going to win sometimes, and you're in it for the love of the game. So
that's beautiful. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to wrap on that because that's just such a lovely way to visualize this and understand it. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you, listeners, for joining us on the Limit Free Life Show. We're here every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and you can find us also on the Limit Free Life YouTube channel and Facebook page, UBN Go, iHeartRadio, Spotify, several places as a podcast. And so go out there and figure out what it is for you that you can love as a career. And I'd love to help you. If you need any help, you can contact me at michelle@limitfreelife.com or just contact me to ask a question or discuss a challenge. So go out there and create work you love and have a wonderful day. I think one of the most important messages I have to share with the world about the work that I do is that your work is yours to create. This is your piece of art that you can create in your life, and there's really nothing stopping you. Overall, most of us can learn what we need to learn and figure out what we need to figure out and create that fabulous career or business that we dream about. And there's really no reason to think that you can't. My name is Michelle Perkins, and I am the CEO and founder of a company called Limit Free Life. And I help men and women to make dramatic change in their lives so that they can have the fulfillment, fun, and financial prosperity that they have always wanted to find through their work. The main services I offer through Limit Free Life are one-on-one private coaching, group coaching, trainings and seminars, and business consulting. My signature service is one-on-one coaching over a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, even a year. It really allows a person to decide on an outcome that they desire, and then for us to work together to really achieve that outcome in full. The type of clients that I typically work with are professional men and women who are driven to do more, who might be entrepreneurs, but also career professionals who work in organizations who are really looking to do more with their lives and very open to thinking in new ways about what they're doing, and who are willing to take responsibility, do the work, make some changes, and who don't say I can't a whole lot. Clients up-level in a number of ways. For some, they start a business after being in the corporate world. For others, they have an existing business and they really figure out the key and the formula to making that business grow and take off. For some, it's a matter of really developing courage. And for many, it's a matter of up-leveling their view of themselves, what they're capable of, how powerful they are, what their strengths are, and where they can go in life. What I see also is that there's a spark that kind of gets lit, and that flame keeps growing within them, and there are things that they want that maybe they were reluctant to even express that they wanted, and now they just go for it. They have bigger wants and bigger dreams than they had before, and the sense that they can achieve those things. I feel very strongly that money beliefs are foundational to developing a business that can scale and grow and become the business that you want it to be, whatever level of success that is. And for people who feel stuck or their business isn't going the way they want, a lot of times it comes back to some of these money beliefs. So as a certified money mindset coach, I have the training to help people understand where their hidden money beliefs are either interfering in their lives or businesses or coming into play in some fashion in all the decisions that they're making, both in their business and in their life. The overall mission behind my work is to help people love their work, to find satisfaction, fulfillment, fun, and also to be financially prosperous in what they're doing. That combination to me is a perfect recipe for making work a great part of your life. And so that's my vision, is for people to see work and money as allies in their life and things they can lean on so that they have something that makes them feel important and something that gives them a place to go to develop a sense of identity and purpose and meaning in the world. My greatest hope for my clients is that they will develop a holistic relationship with work, money, and life, and there won't be this separation where they go to work and then they live their life after work, and they will develop work or businesses that they love, that they look forward to going to, and they give them the freedom and the income and the happiness that they're looking for in their life.